Um, there, I mean, there's yeah, the night I got shot. I shouldn't have walked out of that one alive. Um, it's that one's a long story. I'll try to give you
Oh,
a
dig in, dig in.
and I'll try to give you and again it's a unit story, so I'll make it unfortunately somewhat vague.
That's
But
fine.
the backside of the story still remains. Is we were going after a very high target individual, and the the way we wanted to go after him, uh, we were told that we were going to go tonight, and for these reasons, and we basically told him, hey, there's a smarter way to do business. We trust us. This is what we do. We'll hit them tomorrow, and under the circumstances that we want. And they basically said, that's fine. Then we'll send the Rangers. and and we basically got together and we're like, people are gonna die tonight if the Rangers go. And that's not knocking the Rangers. The Rangers are great dudes. But at the end of the day, they're not us. And this, when you do this job long enough, you know when you get a warning order if this is going to be one of those missions or not. And this was just going to be one of those missions. Everything was difficult about the target. There was no good way to get in. There was a lot of them. It was going to be a nasty one, and it was. And so we basically took it to a vote, and we're like, hey, are we going to go tonight, or are we going to let the Rangers go take this one? And every person in that room raised their hand. Um, and again, it wasn't for glory purposes. Like we truly believe we were saving guys' lives that night by us taking a bad mission that we normally would not have taken. So we take off on this target, and just everything was difficult about it. Everyone loves the movie when guys are fast roping on the target. You don't want to fast rope on the target. Let me tell you, you don't want to be 30 feet off the ground on the noisiest thing in the valley, dangling on a rope or waiting for your turn to dangle on a rope. It is not a good feeling. It's a good way to get a helicopter shot down. It's a good way to get guys shot before they even get a chance to fight. Um, so even though there are times it's the right call, it's not. It's rarely is it option A. Um, we couldn't take that, and so unfortunately, this target was right in the middle of the village. So really, the only good way to do it was to land outside the village and run all the way, into target, which unfortunately is going to take some time, and the surprise is probably going to be given is going to be given up. So that's what we did. We took that option, and by the time we got to target, there wasn't a single person in the inside the target house, but there was a fresh fire going. There's a lot of Taliban um, paper trail, so we knew someone was there. We knew the intel was right. That we knew they were there that night. That they just heard the helicopters and took off. Um, so we had most of the assault team had a follow-on target they were going to go hit. We had reason to believe a house not too far away was a family member's house, and they were going to go do a follow-on target there. Seemed like a reasonable place for him to go. Um, I was on what's called Squirter duty that night. Familiar with the term?
Squirter.
Yeah,
Yeah, when
Squirter
guys,
patrol, Squirter
yeah,
duty.
yeah, when they jump, but yeah, when guys start spraying out in all directions, they could be running for weapons, they could be running just to run. But yeah, you'll explain it better to the audience for the
Yeah,
audience.
that's exactly right. Sometimes I hear the helos and they don't exactly have a plan. They just know they don't want to be in the house. They assume the guys in those helos are coming for them, so they'll usually, like I said, it's usually not a pre-planned thing they do. They just run and they hide in a field. They hide behind trees. They hide behind rocks. Anywhere they feel like they've gone far enough, and they just kind of hunker down. Um, so it was me, a combo guy, a couple Afghans, and a dog guy. and but I was the only operator on the on the detail going out, and that's usually a no. Even though I had other Americans with me, you really want more than one operator with you, because at the end of the day, that commo guy was a Green Beret and the dog handler was a Green Beret, but in those roles they're filling, they're not filling Green Beret roles, if you will. Their job now is to be a dog guy. Their job now is to be the world's best commo guy. So I was really only shooter going out. That was definitely a mistake on my part. But I didn't want to take an assaulter off the follow-on crew, and leave them short. So I didn't take another one with me. And we went around. There were several pockets of small groups of individuals hiding from us. We took care of them pretty quick. And then we hear over the radio that the second place was a dry hole. And so now that makes Squirter duty even more important, because he's here. We know he's here. We know he's somewhere. And if he's not in any of these two houses, he's probably hiding in one of these Squirter pockets. So one of the what I didn't know at the time, but was going to be the second to last pocket of Squirters I come up against. They're hiding in this orchard, and I hate orchards. Orchards are the worst, because ISR can tell you, or whoever's giving you information can tell you how many people are in there, but it's rarely right. There's just too many places to hide, and it's people get shot up in orchards. I say fairly often, but it's not what you want. This orchard has this like half wall around this whole orchard. This orchard's it's about half the size of a football field, with a half wall that surrounds it. And we're sneaking up to this orchard, and I can see a group of them talking about 10 yards from maybe 5 yards from the half wall. And so I tell everyone, I don't know if I've ever told this story in this much detail. And I tell everyone, I said, hey, everyone stay here. I'm going to move up to this half wall. And after I throw a grenade, then I want you guys to move up on line, and that'll kick off this assault. And I am giddy. Like, I'm already thinking this is going to be awesome. Like, the boys by the fire, when they hear this story, it's going to be amazing. And I sneak my way up to this half wall, and I'm kind of laying on my back with the half wall right here. And I get the grenade out, and I'm getting ready to chuck the grenade over this half wall. And I'm just excited. I'm like, man, this is going to be a good one. And I look over one last time to see if the guys are in their position. And this one Afghan is still kind of moving into his position. And he trips in the middle of the night. He trips and he lands. And I could hear those guys, speaking whatever language they're speaking. They're super close. And when he trips, they stop talking. It was so loud. And then I hear him running to the half wall. And as I'm standing here, their AKs are now over the half wall, just spraying everywhere. They just know there is a sound in the darkness. And I'm like, and I remember sitting there going, as they're just emptying mags with their barrels a couple feet over my face, going, just mad at the Afghan that he took this amazing moment from me. And so after they get done, spraying, I felt like I knew they were running away, but I didn't want to be wrong, and put my hand up there while they're reloading and get my hand shot holding a grenade. When I was, what felt like forever, it was a couple seconds, and I knew they weren't there anymore. I popped up real quick and I threw my grenade as hard as I could. Here's another thing that will surprise a lot of people. Grenades don't kill people, especially out in the open air in a field. I mean, you'll wound them and you'll piss them off, but grenades don't kill people. And they end up running away. And at this point, now I'm just super pissed off at them that they shot at our guys. I'm mad that my my moment of glory was taken away by an Afghan tripping in the dark. And so I make sure that they're followed, and we haven't got jackpot yet. So I'm fairly certain he's in this group. So they end up running away about a click away, 1,000 meters away from the target location. That's normally too far for a small group to venture out from the main element. Hindsight's always 2020. At that point, I should have called for a couple more operators to plus up and let them know that I was, going this far away from the main element. But I didn't. I was just out of anger, followed them, and at this point, I get talked on, and I get told, hey, they are in this. They're in this area. And as we get really close to them, it's just the way the world works. Our comms go completely dark. We can't get a message out. We can't get a message in. So now it's just me and this small team without any comms at all, wandering around this small area that we know they're at, but we can't get any further intel of exactly where they're hiding like we kind of normally do. So there's this, and we're in this big field. The best way to describe it is there's this big bomb crater in this field. And I remember going up, looking inside it. It was a very dark night, no loom night. Your nods don't work as good on a no loom night. Like, your nods aren't just magic. They amplify the existing light. So a little bit of moonlight helps out your nods immensely. So it was a no moonlight, no loom night, and it was raining that night. And so, they're all fogged up, no loom. I looked down there and it didn't look like anything. So we go searching around. At this point, we get a little bit of radio chatter in and out talking about, hey, where are you guys at? Hey, the helos are running out of gas. They're either going to have to go all the way back and refuel and come back, which is going to take an hour, or we need you guys to hurry up and, get done doing whatever you're doing and come back. And so we huddle up, and I tell them, I said, hey, all right, let's go back. But before we go back, that crater, I just my spider senses, whatever it is, like, won't let me, completely, I just don't feel right. And they're like, well, what do you want to do? And I had a couple ideas. I thought about throwing a grenade in that crater. But if I was wrong and they were hiding somewhere else, I would have definitely given up our position. So I didn't want to do that. Right, wrong, or indifferent, people can armchair this decision all they want. But my plan was, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get us up on a line, and it's called a white light blip, which means I'm just going to turn on my white light for just a split second and kind of look underneath my nods so I can absolutely rule this out. And the thought process was, if I white light blip it, maybe, if they're not looking in this direction, they might see something, but, chances are they don't, they'll just go, did you see that? They, may not have really known where we are. It's really unusual. We don't normally use white lights, on nighttime operations. But like I said, I had to clear this depression, and my nods just weren't good enough to do it. So I go up there and I go to white light blip it, and I could see at that point, those weren't rocks at the bottom of this depression. It was rocks and guys hiding underneath blankets. And in fact, I kind of didn't even intend to see anything. I kind of was just like, well, I'm just going to, I blipped it. I started to turn away. And in my mind, it registered what I just saw. And so I came back and kept the white light on. And I said, the G-rated version is, there they are, get them. And we start shooting them. Unfortunately, I was the only one to take shots. The Afghans were more of a spectator that night, and the first guy I shot was still underneath his blanket, so he died. Didn't even know why. The second guy I transitioned over to was just kind of starting to look underneath his blanket. I had a suppressed gun at the time, but I wasn't running subsonic ammo, so you can hear it.
Right.
So between the white light and the rounds going off, I mean, he was interested to see what was going on, and so I gave him the good news. Um, and and so the next guy over, he's a little bit further out underneath his blanket and starting to reach for his gun, and so I give him the same treatment his other two friends got. But every person I'm transitioning over to is a little bit closer to being up and ready. And so, I send, 4 to 6 rounds at each guy. But here's another thing that it's no one shouldn't say no one. You shouldn't. No one shoots guys twice and moves on. Like you shoot guys until they stop, until they're no longer a threat. So, everyone's getting 4 or 6. The first guy got like 8 rounds. When I transition over to the last guy, he has his gun coming up, and I'm still and I just transitioned over to him, and I'm thinking he's closer to shooting me than I am him. And I pushed my gun as hard and fast as I can, threw a couple rounds his way. He went on full auto and sprayed up. The first couple rounds hit the base of my feet, kind of walking up. One of the rounds hits me right in my forearm, breaks my arm in half, and then the last round, as it turned me, it went right through the middle of my nods and broke my nods in half, and they're dangling on my face, and I spin around like 4 times and hit the ground. And I remember laying in the mud going, damn it. I knew I was going to get shot one day. I was the only guy on my team without a Purple Heart, the only guy. And I just remember going, that didn't hurt as bad as I thought it was going to hurt. And at that time, our commo guy, this all happens in a matter of 5 seconds. Our combo guy runs up and throws a grenade down into the hole, or not a hole, down into this big depression. And it, whatever it does, it probably lands beside a rock and it goes off. It doesn't hit him. But what it does is it reminds him that he has a grenade. And this happened for whatever reason on this particular rotation. Almost every time we introduced grenades, we got a grenade back. It's almost like reminding them, oh yeah, we carry these too. So he throws a grenade out of the hole and I'm laying on my back and it lands within arm's distance of me. And what saved my life was a muddy, rainy night. It sunk down into the mud. It went off a couple seconds later. It blasted my helmet off, my peltors to shred. It's got some scarring underneath my beard. I got scars up and down my leg. But generally speaking, that mud tamped that grenade and absorbed most of that explosion. And so now I'm shot. My nods are shot off. I get hit by a grenade just a couple seconds later, and he goes to crawl out of the hole, and our commo guy, eventually fills him in with an absolute full mag. I mean, all 30 rounds into this guy, and it's over, kind of. So now he actually, gosh, almost he gets as he's crawling out, he sends out a couple like kind of security rounds and then tries to crawl out, and he hits our commo guy in the leg. And so our commo guy's shot and then kills him. I'm shot. I have no nods. I have an arm that to get to that point, we jumped a lot of walls trying to make a straight line to this point. Now I can't jump walls. I got a oh gosh, can't believe I'm forgetting these words. I got a tourniquet on my arm that without a doubt felt 10 times worse than getting shot. The tourniquet was absolutely excruciating. And it took us almost an hour to get back to our to our element. And during this hour, we made another mistake of, it was, again, that village was pretty lively. And so we're trying to sneak our way back, but we can't use the back roads, if we will. Like, we literally kind of have to use trails and roads within the village to quickly get back to our element. Well, when we stopped and checked out all of my my injuries, we used red light because we were still in a tactical situation, which I know better. The problem with using a red light is you can't see blood underneath a red light. And now my biggest injury that I was concerned about was my arm. I I I didn't complain about the massive bleeding in my leg or in my side because I didn't even feel that had happened. And so we never did a full body check on me to see if I had any other injuries. We just addressed the big injury without addressing the, doing a full body check. Again, something we knew better than, and just, didn't do it right when it counted. So about 45 minutes into this walk back that we had to take the long way around, I start blacking out. And I don't know, at the time, I didn't know why I was blacking out. And I'm telling them, like, hey guys, we got to stop. Like, I'm going to throw up and I'm about to pass out. And they're like, Brent, do not pass out. Like, we're not carrying your big ass. Like, we have another guy, with a shot leg. He can't carry you. Like, you've got to suck this up. And I remember telling you, hey, I don't control if I black out, guys. I'm just telling you it's about to happen. And they're like, well, do what you can. We eventually made it back to the rest of the element. And at this point I'm limping, and I don't even know why I'm limping. I just know my leg hurts. And our medic comes up and he goes, as cool as a cucumber, hey Brent, how's it going? Not good, Dan. I'm shot. He goes, why? He goes, I can see that. He goes, anything else wrong with you? I said, no, I'm just shot. Please look at my arm. None of the fentanyl lollipops are working. I took everyone in patrol has a fentanyl lollipop, including me. I took mine. I took his. I'm eating everyone's fentanyl lollipop, trying to get rid of this pain. And it just wouldn't help with the pain at all. And he goes, what's wrong with your leg? I said, nothing. It's my arm. For the love of God, look at my arm. And he laughs and he sticks his thumb in this hole in my leg and says, nothing? And I was like, oh, Dan, why would you do that? He's like, you're such an idiot. And he cuts off my pant leg. He's like, what happened to your leg? And that was the first time I really realized that I had eaten that grenade and didn't really know it. I was passing out from a loss of blood.
Right.
And by the time I actually got to the helicopter, I did pass out from a lack of blood, and I passed. I woke up in Bagram the next day, after surgery. And I remember sitting on the hospital bed going, that was a crazy night. I kind of can't believe we got out of that one.
That is an unbelievable story. How long is the road to recovery for you?
Not long. I never missed a rotation. I missed a couple jump trips. The biggest thing was they kept on doing washout surgeries on me because infection was a serious concern. I had taken my antibiotic pills. Luckily, it was one of the things I did do right. We were always told, you get shot, blown up, something, and in the nastiness of Afghanistan, you take these pills. And that's actually what saved my life. And even with those pills, infection was a big problem within my body. We finally got the infection under control. The doctors were trying to be nice, but they're like, hey, you should know, like, if we can't get this under control, you might lose your arm. And so, every time I went under surgery, I was always the first thing I checked to see if I still have my arm. They never ended up having to take my arm. They put a massive plate in there to keep my arm together. And the bones actually grow back pretty fast. And I was down for 3 months, mean, I wasn't back to 100%, but I could operate 3 months later, and like I said, never missed a rotation out of it.